Hooligans, it is your captain, Tornado McCray speaking, here with another video, man, and we are here today. It is Friday. Say hello to Space Cat. Space Cat is here. Space Cat is rocking. Space Cat doing his thing. Still got to get a name for him, but I know somebody put it in the comment section like a video or two ago. I just can't think of it right now. However, we are going to get into today's video, and man, as y'all can see by the title, y'all can see by the thumbnail, apparently we have 15 weird facts that we didn't know about the movie Stomp the Yard. Now, for those of you who don't know, who never watched Stomp the Yard, who never grew up on it, you're either too young or you're just not cultured.
What do you say fuck me for?
I'm going to be honest. If you've never seen Stomp the Yard in any fashion, you're probably just not cultured or not involved in black culture. It is a very, 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 very known movie throughout the black and honestly minority community, especially if you are into dance, step, fraternities, so on and so forth. But y'all know that. We're gonna go ahead and get into this video, man. And please make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you can join the Hooligan Express. We got cookies in the back, CAPRI-SUN on the side, and we are here to have a good time. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get to the show, man.
A movie about stepping almost got stepped on. Fraternities threatened lawsuits. The lead actress didn't want the role. And one R&B star, his heart was beating so loud he thought the microphones would pick it up. These are 15 facts about Stomp the Yard. And the bonus, let's just say 2 actors refused to let their terrified co-star fail. Lace up, this one moves fast.
All right, talk to me. See what you got to say.
Number 1. Columbus Short toured with Broadway's Stomp before getting cast. Columbus Short didn't just play a dancer in Stomp the Yard. He'd already lived it. Years before he ever read the script, Short was touring the country with the off-Broadway production of Stomp.
Honestly, I didn't know that, but that makes sense. That honestly makes sense to be able to do what you do in this movie. It makes a lot of sense.
Percussive performance show that inspired the movie's title. He graduated high school 2 months early just to join the tour. Boots stomping on metal, hands clapping in rhythm, bodies moving like drums. That was his training ground. And when casting directors saw his audition tape, they didn't see an actor trying to fake it. They saw someone who'd been stepping since before stepping was cool. Short brought real weight to every scene because he wasn't pretending to be a dancer who could act. He was a dancer who happened to know how to carry a film. The studio didn't have to teach him the moves. They just had to turn the cameras on and let him do what he'd been doing for years. And that authenticity, it soaked into every frame. Short had also worked as a choreographer for Britney Spears tours, bringing professional dance credibility that few actors could match.
Hey, hold up. Columbus Short? Hey. I was unfamiliar with your game, bro. I was unfamiliar with your dancing background. So, hey, shout out to Columbus Short. I was very unfamiliar with his dancing background. I did not know this. And who's making this video? Let me just make sure. Who's making this video?
2. Originally titled
Studio Spill. Shout out to Studio Spill for putting this video together. Originally titled Steppin'.
Changed to avoid confusion.
What?
The movie wasn't always called Stomp the Yard. Originally, it had a simpler title, Steppin'. Clean, direct,
I wouldn't have liked that.
Celebrating. The script was written.
Not even gonna lie. I wouldn't have liked that. I would not have liked that title. Steppin'.
What kind of shit is that?
That title wouldn't have flowed with me. I just, and maybe it's because I know Stomp the Yard as Stomp the Yard now, so I can't see it as anything else, but that title wouldn't have flowed with me. Not really.
The budget was set, and then someone at the studio noticed a problem. Another dance movie was about to drop. Step Up, starring Channing Tatum, was hitting theaters in 2006. And if 2 dance films with nearly identical titles came out within months of each other, audiences would get confused. So the studio made the call. Changed the name. Fast. They landed on Stomp the Yard, a title that nodded to both the stepping tradition and the percussive roots Columbus Short had lived through on Broadway. It was bolder, louder, more specific, and it worked. The name became iconic, but for a brief moment, the film that would define a generation of stepping culture almost shared a title with a movie about ballroom dance in Baltimore. Close enough. Number 3. Film debuts for Neo and Chris Brown. Stomp the Yard marked the acting debuts of two R&B superstars, Neo and Chris Brown. Both were chart-topping.
I don't know why. It's like I know this, but I don't know this. I definitely knew this was Chris Brown's first movie. But for some reason, I didn't know this was Neo's first movie. That's kind of crazy. That's kind of crazy. I'll give him that.
Artists. Both had massive fan bases, and neither had ever been in front of a camera for anything more than a music video. Neo played Rich Brown, DJ's energetic roommate who...
How Neo look old still even in this movie?
Loud, goofy, full of personality. A natural fit for someone used to performing. But stepping, that was new. Neo later admitted the hand-eye coordination required for stepping was unlike anything he'd done before. It wasn't just about rhythm, it was about attitude, precision, and selling the tradition with respect. Chris Brown had an even shorter window. He was on tour when he got the call, flew in, had 2 days to rehearse the dance sequences, and 1 day to learn his lines. Then he was...
Is that why they killed him within 10 minutes of the movie?
You need to leave.
NANI?
I'm just saying, you only got 2 days to learn. They say, yeah, nah, we ain't gonna keep this man here. We gonna kill him off 10 minutes in the movie. Oh man, the girly pop's gonna hate me for that one.
On set playing Duran, DJ's younger brother who gets killed in the opening scene. Brown wanted people to see him act, not just dance. So he took a role that required emotion, tragedy, and zero stepping, and he nailed it in the first 10 minutes of the film. 2 musicians, 2 debuts, both stepped into Hollywood and never looked back. Number 4, Alpha Phi Alpha threatened boycott over trademark use.
Not the Alphas.
Even hit theaters, it was under attack. Alpha Phi Alpha, one of the oldest and most respected black fraternities in America, threatened to boycott the movie. The reason? Trademark infringement. Producers Will Packer and Rob Hardy, both members of Alpha Phi Alpha themselves, used the fraternity's symbols, letters, and branding throughout the film without getting permission. They thought their membership would be enough. It wasn't. Alpha Phi Alpha's leadership didn't see homage. They saw unauthorized use of sacred imagery.
Bro, hold up. You got 2 of your own brothers in the fraternity making this film about stepping, and you mad that they use their own fraternity? Bro, that's weak.
Oh, boo-hoo. Let me play a sad song for you on the world's smallest violin.
For the Alphas, I kind of view that as weak. I'm not even go front, bro. That's weak in my eyes. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. That's wild. That they almost got a lawsuit over that.
And they weren't alone. Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority.
Not the AKAs too. Yep, you know what? It makes sense.
It clear that Greek organizations weren't going to let Hollywood profit off their legacy without consent. The threat was real. A boycott from the Divine Nine could kill the film's credibility before it ever reached black audiences. The studio panicked. Packer and Hardy scrambled, and suddenly a movie meant to celebrate black Greek life was about to be destroyed by the very organizations it was honoring.
Number 5,
Dang.
Sony removed all Alpha Phi Alpha references and donated to MLK Memorial. Sony didn't negotiate, they surrendered. To avoid the boycott and the legal nightmare that came with it, the studio made 2 massive moves. First, they digitally removed every single Alpha Phi Alpha symbol from the final cut of the film. Letters, colors, branding, anything that could be traced back to the fraternity was erased in post-production. It was expensive, it was time-consuming, and it fundamentally changed the film's authenticity. The fictional fraternities, Theta Nu Theta and Mu Gamma Chi, were already stand-ins, but now they had to be scrubbed completely clean of real-world references. Second, Sony wrote a check, a big one. They made a donation to the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Foundation as a gesture of goodwill and respect. The message was clear. We messed up. We're fixing it.
How much was the check?
The boycott was called off. The film released on schedule, but the damage was done behind the scenes. 2 producers who loved their fraternity had unintentionally disrespected it, and the studio learned a hard lesson. You don't borrow from black Greek culture without asking first. Number 6, filmmakers honored by Alpha Phi Alpha in 2009.
See, now that's BS. Nah. Y'all threatened to sue these dudes. And now you want to honor the same filmmakers like 2 years later after the film, or a year and a half later? Bro, that's wild. I get not wanting your image and your likeness copyrighted. I understand it. Do I think it's a little crazy considering they are members of Alpha Phi Alpha? Yes, I do. But at the same time, I get it. Commercial and licensing, so on and so forth. You want to make sure you get paid your dues. It's your image. Understandable. But to threaten a lawsuit and then go back and be like, hey, yo, let us honor you for what you did for the film.
Do me a favor, please. Get out of here.
And what had happened if the film had flopped? If the film flopped, what happens? Now all of a sudden we ain't even got a lawsuit, right? Now all of a sudden we ain't got nothing. Bro, that's bogus. That's low in my eyes. That's real low. I don't like that. I don't like that backtrack type shit.
The story doesn't end with the boycott. 2 years after Stop the Yard became a cultural phenomenon, something unexpected.
Right.
Alpha Phi Alpha.
Y'all want to wait till the movie was
2009,
successful.
The same fraternity that threatened to destroy the film honored producers Will Packer and Rob Hardy at their national convention, not with an apology, with an award. The fraternity recognized that despite the trademark mess, despite the legal chaos, the film had done something powerful. It brought steppin' to the mainstream. It put Black Greek culture on the map for millions of people who'd never seen it before. And it reminded a generation why these organizations mattered. Packer and Hardy stood on stage, accepted the recognition, and probably exhaled for the first time in 2 years. The boycott could have ended their careers. Instead, it became a lesson in accountability. They didn't get a pass because they were members. They got held to a higher standard. And when they made it right, the fraternity met them halfway. In the end, the film that almost got canceled by the Greeks became one of the most important pieces of media in Black Greek history. Number 7, made $61 million on a $13 million budget. Stomp the Yard was made on a shoestring. $13 million.
That's how you put up, hey, 13 million and you made 13, 26, 39,
but Sony took the gamble.
52.
Paid off big.
Hey, you almost made 6 times your budget.
With a $22 million opening weekend, it stayed in the top 5.
Shout out, man.
By the time it
It was
finished
like 13, it was like 26, 39, 52, and it would have been 65. Yeah, you almost 5 times.
Home video,
Good job.
streaming, or the cult following it built on college campuses across the country. The numbers proved something Hollywood had been ignoring for years. Black stories, told authentically with black casts and black creative teams, could dominate. This wasn't a fluke, it was a blueprint. Stomp the Yard out-earned bigger films with bigger stars and bigger budgets, and it did it by trusting its audience, respecting its culture, and letting the stepping speak for itself. The studio wanted a modest return. They got a phenomenon.
He'd much rather put up with you in my life than lose me in his.
Number 8, Megan Good didn't want to take the role initially. Megan Good didn't want to do
Huh?
Wait, what?
That's news to me. What you mean Megan ain't want the role initially? What you mean, Megan? You were made for that role, baby girl. Like, what is you talking about? Megan Good was every young black boy's at least top 5, cause she ain't had to be your number 1. She was in your top 5, minimum top 10. If she wasn't in your top 10, I didn't know what you was on. You just didn't like black women.
Facts.
Being a young black boy around that time, you couldn't tell me. Any black man, any black woman, you couldn't tell us this woman wasn't fine. Look at her. I'm just saying, look at her. Look. What?
Stomp the Yard at all. She read the script and saw the same thing she'd been playing for years. The love interest, the girlfriend. The girl who exists to motivate the male lead and look pretty while doing it. She was
Okay. I see. All right. If that's the perspective and she wanted something more serious and she wanted to be taken seriously and not just eye candy and a love. You know what? Megan, look here. I sincerely apologize. I understand why you didn't want to take the role now. Okay. That makes 1000% sense. I see it. Okay.
tired of it. She'd been in the industry since she was a kid, and she wanted roles with depth, complexity, something more than standing on the sidelines looking concerned. So when her agents brought her Stomp the Yard, her first instinct was to pass. Then she found out who was playing the lead, Columbus Short, her childhood friend. She'd known him since she was 10 years old. They grew up in the same circles, watched each other grow as performers, and she knew exactly what kind of talent he had.
I did not know they even knew each other like that.
Real. And and that changed everything. Good didn't take the role because the script got better. She took it because she trusted Columbus. She knew their chemistry would be natural. She knew he'd bring something authentic to the film. And she was right. Their on-screen connection wasn't manufactured in rehearsals. It was built over 15 years of friendship. Every smile, every glance, every moment of tension between DJ and April felt real because it was. Good bet on her friend, and together they made magic.
Number 9. Morris Brown College, founded in 1885 by freed slaves. The film was shot at Morris Brown.
That is more so of a history lesson for y'all who don't know about HBCUs and things of that nature, but that is a fact about Morris Brown. That's actually one I did know. Crazy enough, I actually did know that one.
College in Atlanta, and that location wasn't just a backdrop, it was a piece of history. Morris Brown was founded in 1885 by freed slaves. It was one of the first institutions of higher learning created by and for African Americans in the South. For over a century, it stood as a symbol of resilience, education, and black excellence. By the time Stomp the Yard started filming in 2006, the college was in crisis. Enrollment had collapsed. Accreditation had been lost. The campus was struggling to survive, but the buildings were still standing. The history was still there, and the filmmakers saw an opportunity to honor that legacy. Shooting at Morris Brown wasn't just convenient, it was intentional. The campus gave the film weight, authenticity, a connection to the real foundations of Black Greek life. And for a brief moment, the cameras brought life back to a place that had been fading. Students who couldn't afford to stay enrolled watched the production from the edges of campus. Some even worked as extras. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. A movie about stepping into greatness was being filmed at a college that had once represented exactly that. And today, Morris Brown is still fighting to come back. But its role in Stomp the Yard, that's permanent.
Excuse me?
Yo, there's a girl right here saving my space.
Nice try.
Number 10. Columbus Short said Stomp the Yard was my college experience.
Okay, so statement here, and I want this statement to be known. The way that was phrased is like, that was my college experience. For me, Stomp the Yard was my quote-unquote introduction into Greek life. For my family, I was the first one to go to college. And Stomp the Yard was one of those baselines to help me understand what college was, especially Black Greek life. And I wanted to join a fraternity. I really did. And this was what my baseline movie was. Now, fast forward, I get to college. I'm at an interest meeting for a fraternity. I'm like, yeah, cool. And then they tell me about dues.
Nani? I said, hold up, wait a minute. Something ain't right.
I didn't know a damn thing that I had. I thought this was a club that you were selected because people were spying you from across the way and were like,
yeah, we want him specifically in our organization.
I didn't know I had to pay to get in this organization, bro. So, and they leave that out. They leave that out of this. I knew about the hazing. I knew that there were different fraternities and different organizations. I knew there were organizations for men and women. I knew all of that. They did not talk about the money, finances, that cost that go into being and joining a fraternity or sorority. So that's the only thing I hated about this. And that's why this was also my college experience. God, dog, this pissed me off.
Short has said it more than once. Stomp the Yard was his college experience. He never went to a traditional university, never pledged a fraternity, never lived in a dorm or walked across a quad with a backpack full of textbooks. But when he stepped onto the set of Stomp the Yard, something clicked. The brotherhood, the competition, the pride, the bond between men who chose each other and built something together. That was real to him. Short threw himself into the role so completely that the lines between acting and living started to blur. He wasn't pretending to be DJ, he was becoming him. The stepping rehearsals felt like pledging. The fights with Grant felt personal. The relationships with the Theta brothers felt like family. And when the film wrapped, Short didn't just walk away from a job. He walked away from an experience that shaped him.
That
He's
Jamaica
called it one of the most important
Adidas
projects
jacket
of his
that he
career.
had.
Not because of the box office or the fame, but because it gave him something he never had. A taste of what it means to belong to something bigger than yourself. Stomp the Yard wasn't just a movie for Columbus Short. It was the college he never attended, and he graduated with honors. Hey, this is getting wild, right? If you're feeling the energy, go ahead and hit like or subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Because up ahead, we've got a 2-day rehearsal that shouldn't have worked, a crowd of thousands who had no idea they were in a movie, and a pitch that almost turned this into a sequel nobody asked for. Trust me,
Oh, God.
It only gets crazier from here. Number 11. Chris Brown had only 2 days of dance rehearsal.
I mean, y'all
Brown
kind of said that
walked onto
earlier.
the set of Stomp the Yard with almost no preparation. He was in the middle of a promotional tour when the call came through. They wanted him for the role of Duran. He said yes, then he had to figure out how to make it work. Brown flew in with 2 days to rehearse all the dancing and 1 day to learn his lines. That's it. No weeks of training, no time to build chemistry with the cast, just show up and perform. And somehow he pulled it off. Brown later said he wasn't worried about the dancing. His fans already knew he could move. What he cared about was the acting. He wanted people to see him as more than a performer. He wanted them to see him disappear into a character. So he focused on Duran's relationship with DJ, the brotherhood, the tragedy, and in the film's opening 10 minutes, Chris Brown delivered a performance that hit harder than any step routine could. He didn't need
I could have
weeks
made
of
a joke
prep.
there.
He just needed to care, and he did.
Number 12. 2,000 extras didn't know they were in a movie.
Man, y'all better pay them people. You about to use me for a movie and you don't pay me?
Film's climactic
Hell nah.
national step championship scene required a massive crowd. Thousands of people cheering, booing, reacting to every move on stage. The filmmakers needed it to feel real, so they didn't fake it. They hosted an actual stepping competition and filled the venue with over 2,000 people. Here's the twist. Most of them had no idea they were being filmed for a movie. The production team advertised it as a legitimate step show. Real fraternities and sororities showed up to compete. Real fans came to watch. The energy in that room was authentic because nobody was acting. When the Thetas hit the stage, the crowd erupted. When the Gammas countered, the boos were real. The cheers, the gasps, the tension, all of it was genuine. Cameras were rolling the entire time, capturing reactions that couldn't be faked or rehearsed. And when Stomp the Yard hit theaters, thousands of people saw themselves on screen and realized they'd been part of movie history without ever knowing it.
I'm curious how many who have actually like really attended step shows figured something was up and was like, who are these other fraternities? Like, I genuinely am curious as to how many of them were like, wait a minute, who is this? I'm curious.
Number 13. Production kept rival fraternities apart during filming. Bringing real Greek life to a Hollywood set came with real problems. The production hired actual fraternity members as extras and consultants. Theta Nu Theta and Mu Gamma Xi might have been fictional, but the
Mu
men
Gamma
playing
Xi?
them weren't. And some of them had real rivalries, old beefs, unresolved tension from campus competitions that had nothing to do with the movie. The production team quickly realized they had a problem. If rival frat members got too close between takes, things could get heated. So they made a call. Keep them separated. Different holding areas, different call times, different sides of the set. It wasn't about distrust, it was about respect. Stepping culture is competitive, pride runs deep, and the last thing the filmmakers needed was a real fight breaking out over a fake rivalry. The strategy worked. The energy stayed controlled, the stepping stayed fierce, and the authenticity everyone wanted, it came through without the chaos. Sometimes the best way to honor a culture is to understand its fire and handle it with care. Number 14. Originally pitched as a You Got Served sequel.
You know what? I'm not mad at that. I am not mad at that because that's exactly how it could have been seen.
Go on.
And we had always wanted a You Got Served sequel, or at least some of us in the community, I was one of those people, always wanted a You Got Served sequel. So Stomp the Yard, to me, it was essentially a You Got Served sequel. It was one of those, how do they say it? Oh, what's the term? Spiritual. It was a spiritual successor. And I always felt that way about Stomp the Yard. So the fact that it actually was pitched as a You Got Served sequel, I am okay with that. I am 1,000% okay with that, and I like that. I like that a lot.
Became its own story, it almost wasn't. Producer Will Packer initially pitched the film as a sequel to You Got Served, the 2004 dance movie that made $40 million.
It would have made
at the box
sense.
office. The idea was simple. Take the street dance energy from the first film and bring it to an HBCU campus. Swap crumping for stepping, trade LA for Atlanta. Keep the competition, the brotherhood, the underdog story. It made sense on paper. You Got Served had a built-in audience. A sequel could ride that wave. But then Packer and his team realized something. Stepping wasn't just another dance style. It was a culture, a tradition, a legacy. That
all right, I can respect that.
Film, not a
I can respect
they
that.
Scrapped the sequel idea and started fresh. New characters, new story, new respect for what stepping actually meant. And that decision changed everything. If Stomp the Yard had been a You Got Served sequel, it would have been forgotten. Instead, it became a phenomenon that stood on its own. And
I don't think it would have been forgotten if you did it right. Now, and by doing it right, you would have had to have the idea of a You Got Served sequel from the jump, like when you made the first You Got Served, and it would have had to be this. One, Little Saint could have never died. He would have never had to die. You would have had to have somebody older in the crew to die, not Little Saint himself. Then you have Little Saint go off to college, go down to Atlanta to an HBCU. He's been crumping out in LA for all these years, and then all of a sudden he gets introduced into stepping, which is different than him from crumping.
Hold up. Let him.
That's how you could have made that into a You Got Served sequel. But it would have also had to have started with Little Saint never dying in the first place. If Little Saint dies, then that's a hard sequel to work around. But I think that would have been the easiest way to do it. And then you go from there. But yeah, I'm okay with that.
Inspired a generation.
All right, what's the last one?
For the winner of this year's National Fraternity Step Team Champion.
Number 15. Sony held a national high school stepping competition.
Huh?
Sony didn't just make a movie about stepping. They invested in the culture. To promote Stomp the Yard, the studio launched a nationwide high school stepping competition. Schools from across the country entered.
Well,
Teams
damn.
rehearsed for months,
Okay, Sony.
and the stakes were real. The winning team would be featured in the film's promotional campaign and gain national recognition. High schoolers who'd been stepping in gymnasiums and auditoriums suddenly had a platform, a chance to be seen. The competition came down to the finals, and North Stafford High School in Stafford, Virginia took the crown. Their precision, their energy, their respect for the tradition, it all came through. And Sony kept their promise. The winning team became part of the Stomp the Yard legacy. The competition did more than sell tickets. It reminded young people that stepping wasn't just something you watched in a movie. It was something you could live. And for one high school team in Virginia, it became the moment that changed everything. Stomp the Yard didn't just tell a story about stepping. It became part of the culture it celebrated. Because in a world full of dance movies, only one brought the yard to the big screen and left it better than it found it.
All right, man. All right, man. Shout out to Studio Spill. Thank you for that video, bro. I greatly appreciate that, man. And that's kind of crazy. I didn't know some of those things about Stomp the Yard, but I like it. However, guys, that's it for today's video. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell at the bottom so you can always be notified of when these videos are dropping. Hey, we're on this road to 5,000 subscribers, so I thank each and every one of you who have subscribed to this channel and who are still joining the road to get us there. And lastly, at the end of the day, what y'all think about those facts? Because y'all know the deal. What do I know? I'm just a skinny brother with two tats. Peace. Much all you. Take care. Later days.